Live from the BDN Studios, it's Bang and Dang.
That's awesome.
If you don't like that, then
You ain't black.
Battle of Brandy Station, taking place on June 9th, around Brandy Station, Virginia, at the beginning of the Gettysburg Campaign. The Battle of Brandy Station was the largest predominantly cavalry engagement of the war, as well as the largest ever to take place on American soil.
no shit.
A bunch of cavalry and horses running all over the damn place.
Dude, there's freaking Braveheart up in this bitch.
Yeah.
I've never seen Braveheart.
Me neither. This is the beginning of the Gettysburg Campaign as well, so now we're mixing up Gettysburg and Vicksburg all right here, baby. Man, what a month we got going on here. With the Union Cavalry under Major General Alfred Pleasanton against that good old Jeb Stuart.
Good old Jeb.
If I remember correctly, when putting this together, Jeb doesn't fare too well right here.
Jeb, he has a rough one at some point in war. I think it is.
We already did, remember? The one we did a few weeks ago, it was the first defeat of Confederate cavalry.
Yeah, I think maybe he's realizing that they're screwed.
Maybe. Well, this Confederate Army of the Northern Virginia streamed into Culpeper County, Virginia after its victory at Chancellorsville and just a couple weeks ago. Under the leadership of Robert E. Lee, the troops massed around Culpeper preparing to carry the war north into Pennsylvania, which they will. The Confederate Army was suffering from hunger and their equipment was poor, though.
Yeah, Lee.
Yeah, they got a big problem right here, man.
Lee was having some hard times here, and he just happened to. I don't think, is he the head guy? He's not even the head guy yet.
I think Johnson still is.
Right.
Lee's just the commander of all the Virginia Army.
Right. And now it's 3 years into this war. And the Confederate side didn't even start off
Well, technically 2 years, but
with 2.5.
not even.
And the Confederate side didn't even barely have enough shit to do now back then than they do now.
Look at the last battle at Port Hudson. They were eating rats.
Right. Didn't have the right guns. Most of them had muskets instead of rifles.
Yep. That's what happens when you fight an industrial nation.
Right, and then that industrial nation takes the biggest waterway,
Exactly.
inland waterway away from you. Lee was determined to strike north to capture horses, equipment, and food for his men.
Yeah, you got to do something there, Lee.
Find all the rats you can. Let's go. His army could also threaten Philadelphia, Baltimore, and Washington.
Yep.
And encourage the growing peace movement into the north. That's a peace movement. By June 5th, 2 infantry corps under Lieutenant James Longstreet and Richard Ewell. Hey, we haven't heard these guys.
A couple of episodes ago.
They were camped
Chancellorsville.
They were camped in and around Culpeper,
Right.
6 miles northeast of Culpeper, holding the line of Rappahannock River. Stuart camped his cavalry troopers, screening the Confederate army against surprise by the enemy. Most of the Southern cavalry was camped near Brandy Station. Stuart, befitting his reputation as a dashing cavalier or a beau sabois, he requested a full field review of his troops by General Lee. This grand review on the 5th of June included nearly 9,000 mounted troopers, 4 batteries of horse artillery, charging in simulated battle at the inlet station, about 2 miles southwest. They're charging. And they had electric horses back then? What the hell?
They did a battle reenactment, pretty much.
Right. They did that about 2 miles southwest of Brandy Station. The review field currently remains much as it was in 1863, except that a Virginia police station occupies part of it.
Good for them, huh?
I want to see that.
Well, General Lee, he was not able to attend the review, however, so it was repeated in his presence on June 8th, although the repeated performance was limited to a simple parade without battle simulations. So it wasn't repeated.
So you lied.
Right. Despite the lower level of activity, some of the cavalrymen and the newspaper reporters at the scene complained that all Stuart was doing was feeding his ego and exhausting the horses.
Right.
Lee ordered Stuart to cross the Rappahannock the next day and raid Union forward positions, screening the Confederate Army from observation or interferences as it moved north. Anticipating this imminent offensive action, Stuart ordered his tired troopers back into camp around Brandy Station.
So stupid.
Yeah.
So dumb. Around Brandy Station, Stuart's force of about 9,500 men consisted of 5 cavalry brigades, commanded by Brigadier General Wade Hampton, WHF Rooney Lee, Beverly H. Robertson, wow, William E. Grumble Jones, and Colonel Thomas T. Munford. The commanding Brigadier General Fitzhugh Lee's brigade, with Lee was stricken with a bout of rheumatism.
Like rheumatoid arthritis?
Something like that. So these guys are out.
Right.
Plus the 6th Battery Stuart Horse Artillery, commanded by Major Robert F. Beckham. They were out as well. That's Syed.
Out? How were they out?
Oh, no, they were in.
Right. And the other one wasn't out, just Fitzhugh Lee was.
Right. Unknown to the Confederates, 11,000 Union men had massed on the other side of the Rappahannock.
How do you not know?
Major General Alfred Pleasanton, commanding the Cavalry Corps of the Army of the Potomac, had organized his combined armed forces into 2 wings under Brigadier Generals John Buford and David McMurtry Gregg. David Gregg McMurtry. How about that?
Well, no.
This was augmented by infantry brigades from the 5th Corps.
All right. Well, Buford's wing, accompanied by Pleasanton, consisted of his own 1st Cavalry Division, a reserve brigade led by Major Charles Whiting, and an infantry brigade of 3,000 men under Brigadier General Adalbert Ames.
Dude, these guys came stacked.
Gregg's wing was the 2nd Cavalry Division, led by Colonel Alfred Duffy, the 3rd Cavalry Division led by Gregg, and an infantry brigade under Brigadier General David Russell.
Fantastic.
The commander of the Army of the Potomac, Major General Joseph Hooker, interpreted the enemy's cavalry presence around Culpeper to be indicative of preparations for a raid of his army's supply lines. So they're coming for our supplies, dude. In reaction to this, he ordered Pleasanton's force on a spoiling raid to disperse and destroy the Confederates. Pleasanton's attack plan called for a 2-pronged thrust at the enemy.
Buford's wing would cross
This
the
is
river.
the first time we're hearing of Pleasanton.
Right. Buford's wing would cross the river at Beverly's Ford, 2 miles northeast of Brandy Station. At that very same time, Gregg's men would cross at Kelly's Ford, 6 miles downstream to the southeast. Pleasanton anticipated that the Southern cavalry would be caught in a double envelopment. Surprised, outnumbered, and beaten. He was, however, unaware of the precise disposition of the enemy. Both sides didn't even know.
Right.
And he incorrectly assumed that his force was substantially larger than the Confederates he
Only
faced.
about 11 or 1,500
How many
more,
times? How many times have I heard that before?
Always about 4:30 a.m. June 9th.
They're like within like 5 miles from each other. And you're telling me you can't send somebody out and check it out?
4:30 a.m. June 9th, Buford's column crossed the Rappahannock River in a dense fog, pushing aside the Confederate pickets at Beverly's Ford. Pleasanton's force had achieved its first major surprise of the day. Jones's brigade, awakened by the sound of nearby gunfire, rode to the scene partially dressed and often riding bareback. Would he just take his shirt off multiple times? Often riding bareback. They struck Buford's leading brigade, commanded by Colonel Benjamin Davis, near a bend in the Beverly's Ford Road, and temporarily checked its progress, and Davis was killed in the ensuing fighting.
Oh, no.
Davis's brigade had been stopped just short of where Stuart's horse artillery was camped and was vulnerable to capture. Cannoneers swung 1 or 2 guns into position and fired down the road at Buford's men, enabling the other pieces to escape and establish the foundation for the subsequent Confederate line. The artillery unlimbered on 2 knolls that were on either side of the Beverly's Ford Road.
Oh, shit. Most of Jones's command rallied to the left of this Confederate artillery line, while Hampton's brigade formed to the right. The 6th Pennsylvania Cavalry, led by Major Robert Morris, Jr., unsuccessfully charged the guns at St. James Church, suffering the greatest casualties of any regiment in the battle. Several Confederates later described the sixth charge. Several Confederates later described the Pennsylvania 6th charge as the most brilliant and glorious cavalry charge of the war. Wow, look at Confederates giving them love.
Even though they suffered greatest casualties of the regiment.
Right. In many Civil War battles, cavalrymen typically dismounted once they reached an engagement and fought essentially as infantry.
Right.
But in this battle, the surprise and chaos led mostly mounted fight.
Damn, that would have been nice, huh?
Buford tried to turn the Confederate left and dislodge the artillery that was blocking the direct route to Brandy Station. However, Rooney Lee's brigade stood in his way, with some troops on Yew Ridge and some dismounted troops positioned alongside a stone wall in the front.
Damn stone walls, man. After sustaining heavy losses, the Federals displaced the Confederates from the stone wall. Then, to the amazement of Buford's men, the Confederates began pulling back.
That happens all the time.
Right. They were reacting to the arrival of Gregg's Union Cavalry Division, about 2,800 men, which was the second major surprise of the day. Gregg had intended to cross at Kelly's Ford at dawn, in concert with Buford's at Beverly's, but assembling the men from dispersed locations and Duffy's division getting lost on the way cost them 2 hours. So we got to go here. They had intended to proceed on the roads leading directly into Brandy Station, but discovered the way blocked by Robertson's brigade of the Confederates. Gregg found a more circuitous route that was completely unguarded, and following these roads, his lead brigade under Colonel Percy Wyndham arrived in Brandy Station about 11 a.m.
Between Gregg and the St. James battle was a prominent ridge called Fleetwood Hill. which had been Stuart's headquarters the previous night.
Fleetwood.
Oh, Jeb Stuart and most of his staff had departed for the front by this time. The only force on Fleetwood Mac when Gregg arrived was howitzer, left in the rear because of inadequate ammo. I mean, that's a...
was a howitzer, not howitzer.
Right. Was a howitzer. It was left behind. That's usually what happened, man. They ran out of shit. They're like, why do we need to carry that with us? We don't have nothing to shoot it with. Shoot with it. Major Henry McClellan, Stuart's adjutant, called Lieutenant John Carter and his gun crew of Captain Robert Chew's battery to ascend to the crest of the hill and go into action with the few shells available, as he sent an urgent request to Stuart for reinforcements. Carter's few shots delayed the Union advance as they sent out skirmishers and returned cannon fire. When Windmen of the Northmen charged up to the western slope of the Fleetwood Mac and near the crest, the lead elements of Jones' brigade, which had just withdrawn from St. James Church, rode over the crown.
I don't understand what you just said in that whole fucking paragraph.
I'm like, what is going on here?
Gregg's next brigade, led by Colonel Judson Kilpatrick, swung around east of Brandy Station and attacked up southern end and the eastern slope of Fleetwood Hill, only to discover that their appearance coincided with the arrival of Hampton's brigade. A series of confusing charges and countercharges swept back and forth across the hill. The Confederates cleared the hill for the final time, capturing 3 guns and inflicting 30 casualties among the 36 men, holy shit, of the 6th New York Light Artillery, which had attempted to give close-range support to the Federal cavalry. Colonel Duffy's small 1,200-man division was delayed by 2 Confederate regiments in the vicinity of Stevensburg and arrived on the field too late to effect the action.
Cool. While Jones and Hampton withdrew from their initial positions to fight at Fleetwood Hill Mac, Rooney Lee continued to confront Buford, falling back to the northern end of the hill. Reinforced by Fitzhugh Lee's brigade, Rooney Lee launched a counterattack against Buford at the same time as Pleasanton had called for a general withdrawal near sunset, and the 10-hour battle was over. So there's like, you attack. And we're like, we're just going to withdraw. And so they didn't even know it. We're like, yeah, we ran them off. And we're like, no.
Is that what happened?
High morale high, right? They think they did something good.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, Union casualties were 907, 69 killed, 352 wounded, 486 missing, which were all primarily captured. Confederate losses totaled 523. Some 20,500 men were engaged in this, which was the largest predominantly cavalry battle to take place during the war, like we said.
It's ridiculous.
Among the casualties was Robert E. Lee's son, Rooney, who was seriously wounded in the thigh. He was sent to the Hickory Hill in a state near Hanover Courthouse, where he was captured on June 26th.
Oh, shit.
He didn't die, though. Stuart argued that the battle was a Confederate victory since he held the field at the end of the day, and he had repelled Pleasanton's attack. The Southern press was generally negative about this outcome.
I mean, he was right. They didn't advance.
He didn't get the job done either.
Right, it's true. The Richmond Enquirer wrote, General Stuart has suffered no little in public estimation by the late enterprises of the enemy. Damn. That's harsh. Whatever.
Right.
The Richmond Examiner described Stuart's command as puffed up cavalry.
Oh, damn, dude. They're not liking Jeb right now.
And that suffered the consequences of negligence and bad management.
Oh.
Subordinate officers criticized Pleasanton from the north for not aggressively defeating Stuart at Brandy Station. Oh, shit. Now we're going.
Brandy Station? But
Major General Hooker had ordered Pleasanton to disperse and destroy the Confederate cavalry near Culpeper, but Pleasanton claimed that he had only been ordered to make a reconnaissance and force toward Culpeper. And he was like, dude, I'm just supposed to check shit out. For the first time in the Civil War, Union cavalry matched the Confederate horsemen in skill and determination.
Well, not true.
Stuart falling victim to 2 surprise attacks, which cavalry was supposed to prevent.
Right.
Foreshadowed.
Right, you're cavalry. You're not supposed to get surprised.
Right. And this also foreshadowed other embarrassments ahead of him in the Gettysburg Campaign. Oh, dude. Yeah, Stuart, he funked up in Gettysburg, but it was a bad time for him to be in a slump.
Right.
This is not when I need you to hit over 75 and 15 strikeouts, bud.
All right. The Brandy Station Foundation, the BSF, was formed to protect the Brandy Station battlefield from development. According to Clark B. Hall, a small group of citizens came together over coffee in a little home situated just south of the Rappahannock River in eastern Culpeper County, Virginia. Okay. Over time, the organization grew to over 400 members, has been the cornerstone of efforts to save the battlefield from attempts to turn it into an office park and a racetrack, as well as preserving the historic building known as Graffiti House. Yeah, the graffiti house. Remember that one? Where the all the Confederates put their names and shit on it?
Very true.
In 1990, the National Park Service completed mapping of historic resources at Brandy Station and recommended preservation of 1,262 acres at 4 separate engagement areas.
American Battlefield Trust, formerly known as the Civil War Trust, has been the major preservation organization involved at the Brandy Station.
I would assume so.
The trust, supplemented by the BSF and other partners, has acquired and preserved 2,159 acres of the battlefield and more than 15 separate acquisitions from 1997 through 2021. In 2003, this led to the opening of the Brandy Station Battlefield Park, which interprets the history of the site. Oh, that's nice. Like here, something happened with some people.
All right, some things.
Some things happened with some people. This work has prevented some racists fought racists. This work has prevented a number
How
of...
many times are you going to start the same damn sentence over again?
I had that one, but you interrupted me. So now I got to do it again. This work...
I don't think you're...
This work has prevented a number of commercial enterprise from infringing on the battleground. Nice. Including a proposed Formula One racetrack in the late 1990s.
See, Formula One?
I would have built that shit.
At least find another site.
Right.
Yeah, they did. I don't know.
In 2013, the trust achieved a major preservation success by purchasing a 61-acre tract at Fleetwood Hill, Mac, site of the number of significant cavalry charges during the battle. Of a number, not just one.
Obviously.
2022, Virginia agreed to accept 1,700 acres of the trust and purchase up to 800 additional acres to form the Culpeper's Battlefield State Park.
Nice.
The park is scheduled to open July 1st, 2024.
Nice.
That's if we're still here.
Well,